we'll see how it goes. All right, so today we have Phil Saunders. Phil is the current head coach at CCBC, Catonsville. That's a junior college, Division I junior college. He's played at UMBC. He was a captain there, a goalkeeper, and a standout player there. And he was one of the players that were able to move on and play professionally, both here and overseas. So he's a really knowledgeable guy. Maryland, Harford County, where you from? Harford County grew up. I'm going to let him give you more info about himself. But yeah, we're lucky to have him. Some of you guys might know him if we have the goalkeepers here because he works with our goalkeepers in our club. We also have Steve Coringi, who's the assistant coach at UMBC. Not too far off playing, right? Still young. Happy to have him here today. Obviously, a Division I coach. He deals with recruiting at UMBC. He's very close to it. So again, is another guy who can give a lot of information for everyone. Another player who was drafted to the MLS out of college. So lucky to have him. All right, we have Coach T is here as well. He can give information about service college, correct? He also works with the goalkeepers. Coach Chachi, probably the closest removed from playing. Right, so as far as being a student athlete, we've all been student athletes in college, but he's fresh. So he can be, I think it's nice. So I hope for some of the players here today, ask him questions. Please ask him questions. Get an idea of what it might be like to be a college player. And I think that would put your mindset in the right place. Okay? And everyone knows Rafiq, he's from Tunisia. So. All right. So I'm going to open it up to either one of you.
How you doing? So like Dan said, I help out with the keepers here. I'm the head coach at CCBC Catonsville, and actually our staff is Rafiq and Chachi, so it's a whole next level soccer staff over there. We took over, last year's our first fall, so we're relatively new, but we're kind of trying to change the culture in the program over there, so it's a nice little project for us. I'm from Baltimore County, born and raised. Like I said, I played at Perry Hall High School, then moved on, played at UMBC, and then after UMBC I was lucky enough to go on and play professionally in Iceland for a couple years, and then for the last year in Baltimore. Unfortunately I had a couple injuries, and then that's when I ended up trying to get into the coaching gig, just stay around the game, and yeah, so that's where we're at today. Biggest thing with this is it's definitely a game of opinions, and everything here, like my definition of a good player, what I'm looking to recruit might be different than Dan, Chachi, Rafiq, Petey, so make sure that you guys are asking questions throughout. I'll try and hit on as many little bullet points that we have, but raise a hand, ask a question throughout, and that's fine, and I'll open it up to questions and stuff at the end too. Big thing is though this, I wish I had this when I was growing up. My dad was from England, my mom didn't go to college, so we had no idea how this whole process went. Luckily I played for the assistant coach at UMBC and got picked up that way. But if it weren't for that, I had no idea, and my parents had no idea how to get me there, so this is definitely a good resource to have. So JUCO, it's all junior colleges. There's D1, D2, D3, just the same as NCAA. But it's a different entity. So D1 and D2 can give scholarships for athletics, but D3 cannot. And I think it's kind of the same in NCAA too.
Yeah.
And it all depends. Some schools get money, some schools have to raise money. It all kind of depends, and the amounts differ. But D1, D2 can give scholarships, and D3 can't. In terms of what we're looking for, a lot of it is players, depends on their grades and what the player themselves are looking to do. A lot of the time when it comes down to are players that don't quite have the grades or the GPA or the SAT scores to get to a four-year school, and it's definitely a good resource, a good place to go to get your grades, get the credits, stay for a year or two, and then a pathway to get to a D1 or a D2 or a D3 school. And it saves you money. It's a lot cheaper to go to a junior college than to just hop right into a four-year school and potentially redshirt or not play or something along those lines. And it's really easy to find the tuition online. For example, if you're in Baltimore County at CCBC, it's $120 a credit. So 12 credit minimum to play. You're looking at, after taxes and stuff, about $1,500 without scholarship or financial aid or anything like that. When at a four-year school, I mean, that is astronomically higher depending on where you go. But player-wise, I mean, we're doing the same thing as any D1 school, D2, D3, NCAA school. We want the best players that we can find. Closer the better. We don't have dorms. A lot of JUCO schools don't have dorms. So generally they have to be in the surrounding area, or they're getting an apartment off campus, something along those lines. But specifically CCBC Catonsville, we're looking to move guys on. So we run it just as they do at UMBC. I've stolen a lot from Coach Caringi and his methods. So we try and mold these guys to get them ready to move on to the four-year school level. Anything so far? Hit a lot really quick. Nothing?
How many do players usually move on from JUCO to the player or original? Like for a player that wants to play 4 year, is it what's the likelihood of what are some of the challenging things?
So the likelihood of somebody moving on, it all depends on the kid and how much they want to put in, the work they put in, and a lot of it comes on the grade side. If you're a good soccer player, you're a good soccer player, but a lot of it comes down to the off-the-field stuff. This year we had 14 guys on the team, which was super light, and we had 6 seniors, and 4 of them are going to a four-year school. And the 5th would be going, but he's deciding to stay back. But he's gotten offers as well. One thing is you got to promote yourself. We can only do so much. I mean, we try and get the word out. We invite coaches out. We have a whole recruitment package that we give our students to send emails out to schools to have them come out to games. We help them with highlight tapes. We video every game. But a lot of it's trying to get yourself recruited, emailing the coaches, getting your name out there, the accolades. But the biggest part is the grades. Every time I get an email saying, yeah, we're interested in so-and-so, they ask what his grade point average is, I say 2.4, and then I get nothing back. So we're trying to incorporate study halls and things like that to get guys on board, but a lot of it is going to come down to you guys and how much work you want to put into the grades.
I have 2 questions, sorry. You had mentioned you're trying to change the culture at CCBC. In what way, what is your aim?
So, it's going to sound, historically CCBC Catonsville hasn't had the best program. We're in a hotbed of soccer. We're really close to Howard County, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County. But the coaches haven't put everything into it, in my opinion. So I'm a full-time coach, Rafiq's a full-time coach, Chachi's a full-time coach, so our whole focus is turning it around. Grade-wise, which we have turned around pretty significantly. I don't remember the last time they won a playoff game. We won a playoff game this year. Took top 25 team in the country to 8 rounds of penalties. We hit the crossbar. Could have gone a different way. So we're trying to get the culture going, get the soccer environment back. And we're running it like a professional club, like a college club. We bring the guys in, everything's ready to go. So we're just trying to get that culture back. What I call culture and environment.
And my other question, how many years can a player play for you? So I know there's a nursing program there, and that kind of thing. Can they play 4 years?
So you get 2 years eligibility in community college. Now if you redshirt, obviously, but you get 2. Redshirt is if you're technically on the team, you play, or you can practice, but you can't play in any games. But you get 2 years of actual playing eligibility. Now, if you play 5 minutes of a game, then that's 1 year of eligibility. So that's the communication with the coaches and how you want to go about it, but you get 2 years of eligibility.
Thank you.
So the day-to-day life of a CCBC Catonsville player. We try and sort out schedules. We have a academic advisor where we try and get all our students' classes in the mornings. So they usually start at 8 a.m. and try and get their classes done by around noon or 1 p.m. And then our training session will be from 2 to 4. And then after that, a lot of the guys either have a job in the afternoon or they're doing their homework. And our game schedule is generally Tuesdays and Fridays, and they're all in the afternoon. So we try and make sure that all their classes are done in the mornings. So then there's no conflicts with school or their jobs in the afternoon. But a lot of the time, the guys are hanging out. I mean, a lot of them take the same classes. When they're going to lunch, there's cafeteria, there's Chick-fil-A and stuff all close, so they're all hanging out. And then they're coming to training for a couple hours and then kind of going separate ways. Now that's a completely different story for a D1 school where they're in the dorms and they're hanging out all the time. But we do try and incorporate some team bonding nights where once a week we're going to try and get the guys together to do something cheap, FIFA tournament, bowling, something where they're hanging out and they're still getting that like together time outside of just playing. Yeah.
What type of players are you currently recruiting? The level of the player, maybe, so they can have, especially for our kids here, so they have an idea of how they match up to the Cape recruits.
So right now we have 14 players currently committed, and I think out of the 14, 12 are in the senior all-star game in their high schools or all county. We have one all-state player, but generally everybody that we've gone after is a higher caliber high school player. And we're trying to go after guys that are playing club. The JUCO level is a bit weird. You get some guys that maybe didn't quite have the name in high school or go to the best club, but are a really good player. And then you also get the guy that was on DC United Academy or Celtic or whatever you want to call it with all kinds of accolades, but his grades weren't quite there. And then you get the other player who maybe just played high school. So it kind of ranges. There's a big variation, but we've generally gone out to all the high schools in the surrounding areas and tried to pick off the best high school players that we could go after. How players should reach out to us. This is a big one. Highlight tape. If there's no highlight tape and we get an email from soccerplayer36@hotmail.com, so we have no idea who your name is, we don't know where you play, it's not a very professional email, it's kind of tough for us to do anything with it. So the big thing I would say is, one, make sure we get a professional email, your first name, last name, a number at whatever, and we're not getting the random goalkeeper 37 so we have an idea. Highlight tapes are huge, and it could be a practice, a game. If mom or dad wants to video a game on the side or a tournament, it's huge having some type of highlight tape. Inviting us out to see a game or a practice. JUCO, we're allowed to go out to practices. I doubt NCAA are, maybe not.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But we're allowed to go to practices, games, tournaments, so invite us out, give us dates, times, field numbers, try and set us up best you can. And the biggest one is make sure you have my right name and the right school, because I've gotten a couple, Mr. Patrick from CCBC Essex, and it's like, sorry, you got the wrong guy. So make sure.
If you want to continue playing, and maybe, just like Phil said, you didn't get that D1 opportunity that you wanted, and you feel like that's still where you want to get to. If you didn't get that D3 or D2 offer, it's definitely take advantage of it, because I see players move on from JUCO and go play at D1, and they just save themselves a lot of money. All right, it gave them a little bit longer to develop their game. It also gave them another opportunity kind of to get their name out there. If you go to a JUCO school and you do very well and you stand out, your name will ring in some other college coaches' ears. Okay, so it's just another way. As far as the template, we'll definitely try and send something out to you guys so you guys have a template. One thing I will say is when you contact a college coach, please let me know and CC me in there. We have Chachi with us, we have Rafika with us. You want to use us because I don't want to sound a certain way, but you want to use us as a resource, okay? That's important because when you do these things, we have no idea about it, so we can't really help you. We can't follow up for you unless you key us in on those things.
Even when you see us, sometimes the coach won't respond to you, but he'll reach out to us to
Right.
make sure that this player is balanced.
Yes.
He'll make sure that can keep talking to your player, is he good? So we can actually put a word or two that would it would help. It definitely helps.
What about reaching out to other coaches or even, how soon should the students look into doing that?
So
Junior year, senior year, or even before?
I think it's different for us and PD. I would say for us, junior year, but for sure, like we're very active for seniors, but that's for us. We look at juniors too. We want to like start a relationship with them as early as possible. But for 4-year schools,
Yeah, for us usually, I was gonna get into that as well, but usually for us, we have sophomores that write us. I mean, sometimes we have freshmen that write us. We can't talk to them until September 1st of their junior year, so we can't email back. But at the same time, it's when the process kind of starts with them. We don't really look at freshmen because we know that growth spurt can happen, and sophomores as well. But the sophomores really start to get the ball rolling with who's on our radar moving forward, who's on this team, who's doing well. So it's always good to get emails from sophomores, even though we can reply, just because if we hear, look, no matter what it is, if you hear their name enough times, sooner or later you go, all right, who is this guy? And you look into it more. So it's even, we always say it's like even how politics is. You see the signs, you see their name, and you think about that person more. So, I mean, even getting the ball rolling early, we won't, just because we're not replying doesn't mean that we don't like you. It means we either can or busy or anything, but throwing your name out there here and there, especially as a freshman or sophomore, can always help out.
On that same path with the younger kids, is it obviously you keep on saying a video of the kid playing out on the field. When they're young, can you just send them a note? Hey, I'm looking forward. I'd like to try to get my way into University of Maryland or wherever it is, without having the videos. Or I mean, do you need anything like that ahead of time?
I would just say that, I mean, I know for us and even for him as well, we get so many emails a day, so many, whether it's even international kids, local kids from the entire country, because a lot of kids I know are trying to play Division I, and we're getting every age group possible. Like I said, even international. So if you send something and it doesn't really have video on it, it doesn't draw you as much compared to the other 200 emails you're getting a day that have video, have game tapes, and everything else. So you're trying to use your time because you have all these other things during the day get your program ready. You're trying to find time to recruit and watch these videos. But when it's just, hey, my name is this, and I play for this team, it's got no numbers, it's got no video, it's kind of like, all right, well, I'll get back to that compared to, oh, this has a video, let's watch it. And then if it sucks you in, it's like, all right, I have more interest in this, I will get back to this and try to email.
I do have a follow-up on that. Being that my son's a defender, what kind of stats are you looking for? Like when you want to present your son in the different positions, obviously, you know, striker, you're going to do goals and those kind of things. But for other positions, what kind of things highlight a player?
I mean, defending obviously doesn't have to be all about stats. I think we're in a culture in America where if a defender scores a goal, then he's looked at better than the guy that doesn't score but just defends better. I think that if you have a solid defending video of you playing well, playing hard and everything, we notice that. It doesn't mean you have to score 2-3 goals out of the back and you have to be 6'5" whenever you head every ball in. We look off of everything. So stats probably matter obviously a lot more for attackers because that's the nature of the whole sport. But for defending, if you're the type of defender that's not going to let the ball go in and do your job, that's all we're looking for in that.
One more thing I want to say, I'm going to let you come up here and talk a minute. I would say everyone's timeline is also different for their process of finding where they want to go to school. So even for our seniors, it's far from too late I like to give myself as an example. I didn't commit to go to UMBC and play at UMBC until about, must have been maybe May. And that's late. That is late. But the idea is that everyone's timeline is different. Now, I held off on committing other places because, again, I wanted to go where I wanted to go at the level that I felt was right. So I did hold off, and it paid off for me. So I think be patient. If you really have an idea of the level that you want to play, be patient and try to work towards that. The other thing I wanted to piggyback off Phil about was the grades. The best way I can put it is always keep yourself in a position to take an opportunity. All right, so you don't know exactly when or that opportunity will come or who it will come from. But when it does come, and if it does come, all right, you don't want to be in a position where you say, I can't take that opportunity. And again, I just want to use myself as an example. I was recruited to a few different places. I was recruited to Cornell, the Ivy League, couldn't go. And they called me, the first thing they asked, we saw you play, you look, we're interested in you, what's your GPA and your SAT? Couldn't go. Georgetown, couldn't go. Notre Dame, couldn't go. So Georgetown is where I really wanted to go. Didn't end up happening because I didn't do what I was supposed to do in high school. All right. What I do know about our players is they are very smart. If you guys organize yourself and you put in the work, all right, there's no reason why you can't have good enough grades to go to the school that you want to go to. Or when an opportunity comes, you can take that opportunity. Luckily enough, I was able to get in UMBC. They work magic. His father, I don't know how, but I got in. And I had a great experience there, so I'm happy about that. So it worked out in the end. But for you young guys, please I don't want you looking back and say, I missed out on that one, I missed out on that one. Do what you're supposed to do in school. Because I know to play this sport, you gotta be smart. You have to be smart. So you can't tell me. The other thing is, if you speak out. If you need help, there's help around you. Right? If you struggle in school, reach out to someone. If you don't know who to reach out to us. We'll find you someone to help you. Okay? Because don't waste these years of your life and have to look back. Okay? Pete?
All right, let's do it.
I told them over here, joking as well, that part of this I was going to talk about nutrition and everything, but half of you guys called me at McDonald's about an hour ago, so I'm going to leave that part out of it. But can everyone hear me, first of all? Okay, my name is Pete Caringi III. I always put a third in there because our head coach is Pete Caringi Jr. I'm an assistant coach. I've been at UMBC as a coach for 3 years full-time, 1 year as an undergrad, so 4 years total. I played with Phil. We graduated the same year, and Coach Chachi was a freshman when we were seniors, so I know these guys very well. Played with Andrew, his brother, and I went to school at the same time with Rafiq, so I know all these guys very well. So the good news is that I'm going to give you guys the Division I aspect that I know now, but the great part is you have guys that have went through the process, that know a lot of it from playing or even coaching now, that this club has a good advantage over a lot, that there's coaches out there that are knowledgeable, but they haven't been through it. So it's good that you're part of a club that has these guys and other guys here, like I know Zach Kane, played Loyola, and other guys that can give you that outlet. But I'm going to go through a lot of stuff with UMBC, and anytime you have any questions, don't be afraid to raise your hand, because no question's a bad question. Start off with UMBC. I mean, it's not far away from here, but I'll still give some input if someone doesn't know about it. It's a 14,000 person school, considered medium, which means it's not huge where you have to take a bus to class, but it's not super small, more like a community college. There's 150 countries represented at our school. It's very multicultural, and anyone that's went there, including basically everyone over here, knows that you'll see a different country probably every day represented at our school. Still growing. It's only 52 years old this year, which is very young for Division I school, but my father started coaching there when I was actually born in 1992, and I think every 3 years, if you go back there, there's a new building there. There's something always new there, including now a $100 million event center that was just finished this month, where our basketball teams and volleyball teams will play, and concerts and everything will be there from now on. So if you ever go up to events and you look up concerts and stuff, UMBC Event Center will now be on there starting this year. So it's been crazy how it's grown, the entire campus, and it's continuing to grow, including the sports. They've taken sports a lot more seriously in the last couple of years, and I know with us, it's been because of our Final Four run about 4 years ago now, which Coach Shachi was part of. I keep throwing it out there. So. But yeah, it keeps growing, and I'm proud to be working there because it is a school that you'll hear about University of Maryland. You hear about other schools more because they've been out there longer and they're more known for basketball and other things. But our school continues to grow, and there's a pride thing with our soccer team that it's a family, it's a brotherhood, and that's why you can see guys like this working together. So it's pretty cool to be part of this. I'm not part of Next Level Soccer, but I love the guys that work with it, and it's cool to be out here. So I'm going to get more into our program now. So like I said, our head coach has been there since 1992. The first assistant, Anthony Adams, has been there. He played from 91 to 94, and he's been an assistant coach ever since. And our goalkeeper coach has been there for about 20 years as well. So in reality, they're taking me away, even though I've basically known them my whole life from maybe my father, the longest trio of coaches in the NCAA together. There's a lot of coaches that move on. There's a lot of coaches that just doesn't work out, but it's pretty cool to be part of something that they've been together that long and been able to work with each other. Because as you all know, any job, it's probably hard to work with someone for 20 straight years and be able to keep doing it, no matter what it is. So it's pretty cool to have that experience. For our fields, so our stadium's Retriever Soccer Park. It probably holds near 3,000, and there's different numbers with it. We sold out one game this year, or last year, when Maryland came to town. We were close with Howard coming in, but it's a Bermuda grass field with hopefully upgrades supposed to come soon, but waiting on that. But yeah, so we'll practice on turf, we'll play on grass. Turf is where lacrosse plays, but that's the turf field basically for the whole school. For our team as well, we've been top 15 in NCAA Division I in attendance for the last 4 years. It's varied anywhere from 13th to 20th last 4 years, but this year we were 14th, beating out schools like Virginia, UNC, and all them in attendance, which for a mid-major school has been great. So the attendance has been really well, the field's been great, and it's been a great program for the guys to come through and get a chance to play pro, get a chance to get their degree, which is the most important thing out of all of this. And that's what I'm going to stress now, which obviously there's some things I'm going to talk about that Phil already talked about because they're important no matter what level. Student athlete, I think that when you're playing now, we can all attest to this, I believe, when you're playing and you're 15 to 17, you're not really thinking about my grades being that important. You think that if I'm good enough, I'm going to get that scholarship. It's just going to work out. I'll play soccer. School will take care of itself. It always takes care of itself. Everything, and that's not how it works. I think that, like you said, there's plenty of kids. UMBC is becoming a smarter school, and we look at grades right away. We have to, and we can't just bring kids in that have 2 4s, 2 5s. There's been kids that have been very good we want to bring in, and they haven't had the grades, and it sucks that they can't come in. Or the other way is, if you have better grades, you earn academic money, which helps our program out. And if we can't give you academic money, there's not always soccer money to give, and then it's too expensive. Our school is $24,000 in state, $38,000 out of state. But the 24 also includes if you're going to live on campus. So if you're not living on campus, that's usually about $7,000 to $8,000 more you would take out. But usually, if you're going to college, you will live on campus. So it's expensive. No matter who, if you have money or not, that's $100,000 for 4 years if you're in state, which I assume everyone here overall is from the state of Maryland. That's expensive, and you want to help your parents out, you want to help yourselves out, you don't want to have debt growing up. So you get that SAT high, you have the right grades, and then you can earn money, and you can help yourself out. Like I said, there's not a ton of money. We have every Division I school that is fully funded, which we are, has 9.9 scholarships total. So if you think about it, there's a lot of rosters that have probably between 25 to 30 people, 9.9 scholarships. And sometimes you get people on full scholarships that you think are going to improve your program that much, plus they need it. So you give out, let's say, free full ride, there's about 6 scholarships left right there for the last 24 players. So you know we can't just give everyone, there's that myth out there that everyone thinks they can afford, we can just give a full ride, and that's not the case at all. So how do you help yourself out? Well, if we can see that this guy's as good as this guy, and he has a 3.4 and a 1200 SAT, and he has a 2.4 and a 1100 SAT, and we're deciding, guess who we're taking? Because he can help us out, he can get money, and if we think they're that even, it's going with the grades. So be a student, realize what you have to do now. Go to your guidance counselors, do what you have to do. I know it's not the most fun thing to do, but you're going to set yourself up. It's the funny thing, the same thing with him. When I got recruited, I remember Brown emailed me, and Brown asked if I had a 3.9 GPA, and I had 3.2, so that was just not happening. Which is fine, it all worked out in the end, but it just kind of, in your mind, sucks that you can't be seen by a school just because of something other than soccer. So pay attention to it now. Wherever you are now, you can fix what you're trying to do. And we'll move forward from there. Like I said, we've had, including Phil and myself, we've had pro players that successful that the last couple of years. So we've had plenty of guys drafted, plenty of guys all conference, and some guys that not got drafted went to play pro. So we've been really successful with that. That's what we pride ourselves on the last about 8 or 9 years specifically, but since the whole time, where guys have been getting their degree, guys have been getting a chance to play pro. What they do with that is up to them. And winning championships as well. So we've been priding ourselves on that, and we've been a good program for that. I'll say 3.0 GPA, as these guys know as well, when we were winning championships consistently within the last decade, we also had a team GPA 3.0, so that's a big thing for us because there's an NCAA award for having a GPA 3.0. We had a 2.95 this semester. We're not really happy about, but if we get a 3.05 this semester, we'll get it again, so they're going to be working a lot harder. I'll show you for that. But that's as big as anything for us. My father's the coach, stresses a degree, because he's seen plenty of soccer players that have not got their degree, maybe played pro for 2-3 years, and then after that's done, no one's really there to help them anymore. That doesn't really matter to them when you get a resume and you go to a job that you played professionally for 2 years if you don't have a degree or education. So we always stress that with the education as well as the soccer part. Our program as well has been nationally ranked 8 of the last 9 years at some point of the season. Only 1 year we have not, so that's always been pretty good as a mid-major school to be up there. And the last 2 things I'll say about our program, our style of play is very attacking. Once again, if you ever have any questions about our program, I'm not around. You have plenty of guys here that know it, but we have outside backs attack, we have outside mids attack. I mean, we're basically attacking with too many players at some points. And the last thing is a close-knit group. And you can see that from the coaching staff that what Phil is trying to talk about, that culture, is from 1 to 20 playing pro. We want you to have those lifelong friends. It's like kind of how you are with here, and you have your lifelong friends. We want that with you as well, with UMBC. We don't want you to like 5-6 guys play soccer and leave. So our alumni base is very tight, very good, and we have very big results when we have the alumni games, the golf tournaments, and everything else. So we're proud about that, and I can speak for those guys knowing that they are as well. Expectations for our program, like I said, student athlete. So we're not, if a guy does great for us in the fall and he has bad grades, that doesn't mean we're going to look the other way. We can't, and we're not going to. So grades are important, production's important, and how you carry yourself off the field is important. Obviously, if you represent UMBC, you represent everything about it. So if something off the field goes wrong, no matter what, we hear it. So we want our guys to be stand-up guys that are doing this right stuff on and off the field. No matter what, whether it's their actions, whether it's social media, no matter what it is, we look through everything. So vocal, hardworking. I think a lot of times we go to, I can speak for coaches as well, there's events that we go to recruit, and there's some games I'm watching 15, 16, 17-year-olds, and it's quiet as can be. And once you get to college, if you're not talking, you're probably not playing, in all honesty. It's a very fast-paced game, it's a very more athletic game, and if you're not talking on the field, you're really not helping yourself out. So whether you talk a lot or whether you don't talk at all, you should probably work on that now, because it's hard to recruit someone that doesn't look interested when they're not being vocal on the field. And obviously hard work, and there's guys that ask us to come out and think they do 2-3 step overs, and they think that that means we're about to just sign them completely. And that's not the case at all. There's guys that work their ass off up and down the line. There's guys that work their ass off, and we're looking at that. That's better than doing 2-3 tricks and trying to do some flicks around. So, just saying that now. There's some kids that think they put a highlight tape together for a minute. It's not really how it works. Which is kind of how some of us were, and I'll agree myself. Continue to get better. I think there's guys that you know in either other clubs your age, whether even if you're 14, 15, the younger guys that are already having colleges, look at them, or even the older guys in general. And some of those guys, in all honesty, from either playing with them or from just seeing as a coach, have peaked, and they have more interest early. And we're looking for guys that are not done. We're not looking for a resume. We're not looking for the guy that was perfect at 17, because what's he going to do when he comes to us? He's already done. We're looking for guys that are going to continue to get better. And we've had a lot of guys, I know for us three included, that had a good high school career but continued to get better through all 4 years, where there's been some guys that went to quote-unquote bigger schools and didn't really improve, didn't really have the career they wanted, and would say that we had better careers than them just based off continuing to get better. So no matter where you are now, I would say that just continue to work at it, and whatever you want to do with it, you still can. There's nothing lost, whether you're a senior or not committed. Like you said, he had a great career and he committed in May. Everything's still open for you. So just continue to work, continue to have the right goals, if that's what your goal is, and it'll work out for you. So the level of play we'll talk about is very fast, very athletic. As you continue to go, it's like when you went from middle school to high school, it got faster. It's the same way with college. College, there's no sub, there's really barely any sub rules, so you can sub 5, 6 at a time if you want, and it's non-stop running, it's non-stop. If you're, and Chachi played in the position to know it, if you're a winger, you probably play about 45 minutes a game if you're a good winger, just because it's so tiring. There's so much fitness based with the Division I game because the sub rules haven't changed, that it's very fast-paced. It's very competitive because for our team, we have about 26 to 30 guys each year, and they're all Division I caliber guys. That's why they're with us. And we have 11 players that can play. We have only 18 to possibly 20 that can travel. So they're competitive guys. So it's a very competitive atmosphere in practice. We reward winners. Losers probably run more than the winners. And if you keep winning and you keep working, you're going to move up. So it's just very competitive all the time, even with the schedule. I think in high school, if you play in high school season, you might have 20 games, and you might have about 6 games circled on your schedule that you know that you could probably not show up and win. Or you might even have club games that you know that if you just show up, you're going to win by 8, 9. There's just times like that in college. In Division I level, there's nothing like that at all. Even though teams are at the bottom are still Division I teams for a reason. So it's always very highly competitive, and it's a very good level. And like I said already, need to be fit, because there's plenty of guys that come in, they're not fit, and they're not playing right away. So plenty of guys that aren't fit and they're not going to play. It's because you have to be fit at the Division I level, or it's really, really hard to see yourself in the field, or you're just not going to last in general. Day in the life of a Division I soccer player. Obviously, every day can be different, but I'm trying to give a more basic day when it comes to a practice day. I can get into game day; it's a little different, but I would say an average day for a lot of our athletes is probably wake up between 7 and 7:30. They all live on campus, unless no one lives in off-campus housing. We only really do that because there's kind of been a statistic where the more you lived off campus, the worse your grades have been. Guys weren't showing, it's hard, sometimes they don't show up to class, and it's harder to do things, other things happen, so we try to get 99% of our guys on campus. If you're not paying for campus housing, and you're not on scholarship for that, and you live off campus close, we understand that completely. But we try to get all our guys on campus. So normally, for most guys, they wake up from their dorms, they go eat breakfast around 8 to 8:15, they have 8:30 classes, or they didn't schedule that, but there's always classes in the morning usually. We have a team study hall where they're all together from 12 to 1 p.m. And we have our academic advisor there. They sign in, they have their cell phones up front, and for an hour they just do homework, do whatever they have to do. Laptops are facing her, so it's not like you're on Facebook or Twitter or anything the whole time. After that, they'll all walk down to practice. We usually practice at 1:30. Practice for about 2 hours. Afterwards, get treatments, no matter what it is. Sometimes they'll just go in the ice bath, or if they're injured, they'll get some stuff done. After that, lunch, more classes, and through all that, that's a long day just to start there, and you're still a student, and you have to do your homework, and you have to do your projects, and you might be at the library. So being a Division I athlete is a very hard thing to do, and that's why people always say they like these athletes coming out for jobs, because they've seen that they can do this strict schedule. There's some days that are easier than others, but for an average day, it is that busy. And for game days, you might have a little more time because we play night games. We have lights at our field at 7 p.m., but it's still very strict that you have to get your work done. You have to find time for things, and you got to make sacrifices that some people might be having more fun your age at that time, but if this is something you want to be successful on the field and off the field and help yourself out in your life, then you got to make sacrifices, and a lot of guys have that have been successful. The guys that haven't probably went with the wrong things. Path to pro, to get to a professional level. I put a statistic on here that only 0.04% of all high school players make it professionally for soccer, and 1% of all college athletes, that goes from Division I all the way to every JUCO, 1% make it pro. So as you can see there, it's obviously the numbers are not in anyone's favor, but how do you get there is with a lot of things. I think fitness is the most important thing. If you're not fit, to cut those numbers down to almost zero, because of that professional level, and you'll attest to it as well, even as a goalkeeper, it's non-stop running, non-stop play, and if you're not fit, then you're not going to make it. And every level you move up, including from down to college, the fitness becomes more of a factor. Production, obviously we talked about earlier, if you're an attacker and you're scoring goals at the highest level in college and everything, it's going to help you out. Defender, you might have a defender that get looked at more for having more goals, but if you're keeping the ball out of the goal and you're doing well, they'll help you out. Winning, I think this is important, that having the mindset for us of team winning, and that starts with every practice for who wins, is the biggest thing in our team, because I think the years where we've had the most success for guys going pro is the years we won. That's no coincidence. I always say I became a Division I All-American my senior year at a mid-major school, and we had 16 wins. And if we had 12 wins with my same statistics, I would not be. That's the way it works. If your team's winning, you get recognized more. So it's always a team thing where you help your teammates out, you're winning more, and then you get the personal success after. It's not the opposite where you do everything by yourself and try to do it. So focusing on winning rather than your own production, and it's helped guys out, and that's why we won championships. Seize your opportunity. Being open to different positions, I would say that's a huge thing at the Division I level. There's been forwards that have, we'll give an example, a guy, Jordan Becker, that came to UMBC, came in as a forward. He scored basically 100 goals in high school. At a lower level, came in, wasn't playing well as a Division I forward, went to left mid, was playing okay, got moved to left back, accepted his role, played with it, and before you know it, got signed to the USL and the Blast to play professionally at left back. Why? Because he's open to it. So continue even at the pro level, no matter what level, be open that, hey, I may be a striker, this coach wants me at right side. If I want to play there, then I might have to accept that and then maybe try to prove him wrong later. But don't just say I'm this position, because it's going to make it harder. I think there's a lot of guys that when they move around, it gives us a lot more flexibility to use them, because we might have 5 center mids that are really good, but if you can play right mid for us, then you'll play longer. So be flexible that a coach might talk to you to moving position. Doesn't mean you have to accept it permanently, but at least in your mind, have that openness to possibly be moving your position. And stay focused through the whole thing. Like he said before, and it's true, I think that a lot of kids, including mostly juniors and seniors, think that if we don't email them back, that means we're not interested, and it really isn't that completely. And that's easy for me to say, but at the same time, we might have 4 center mids, and you might be a center mid, and we're done recruiting that. So we might not get back to you because that's not the position we need. Or you might be a quicker outside mid, and we need a guy that's bigger and can cross the ball better, rather than, there's different things we need that other programs want. So it's not that we don't just want players. Sometimes we already have guys coming back for the next 2-3 years. the same build, the same mold, and it's harder for us to spend money on one position when the other position we need. We might not need an outside, maybe we might need a center back. So I wouldn't take rejection really hard when it comes to this. It just might be what we need, or just we might sometimes only graduate 3 or 4, and we only need 3 or 4 back in. So rejection obviously is never great, but at the same time, continue to push out there to talk to other coaches, continue to branch out, visit other schools, and see what fits for you. And it could be a school like UMBC that where you want to go, or it could be that you learn more just from researching that. Wow, this school I didn't know about. So don't take rejection as the school just doesn't want you. That's not always the case at all. And if anything, there's times when we see players and we have friends and we go, hey, we can't take them. What do you guys think about this player? And we help the other schools out that we're friends with, just because we obviously care about the kids around here. I grew up around here, so we always like to see kids from Baltimore, from Maryland, be successful. It helps out our state. So no matter what, just continue to do what you're doing, work hard, and if it's something you really want to do, whether you're a senior now or a freshman in high school, continue to work at it. Don't be shy away. The last 2 things I had on here before I get any questions are emails. I said you can send them out your freshman year. We already had people send out our freshman year to us. It gets their name out there. We learn about them. They might have the club. They put their contact information. We might know their coach. It just might be a conversation starter where at least we know about you now, compared to if you don't send anything, we're probably not going to learn about you for another year or 2. We're not really recruiting at the U14 level, so we're not going to know about you that well. Sophomores obviously continues to pick up. Like I said, for Division I, September 1st of your junior year, we can officially text you, call you. We can do all that. So that's the big date for us. And then obviously seniors, it's a lot more lenient. Signing periods already went. That doesn't mean we're not done signing players. There's always, like you said, at the end, there's still normally 2, 3, 4 players you can add on late. And it doesn't just mean to finish the roster, that can still mean impact players for us. So we're always looking to get better. That doesn't mean your senior year by February that our team's completely done. I'll tell you, every year I've been there, that's never been the case. And then the last thing, well, I'll stay with that, 2 things. One, with the emails, personal emails are best. Like you said, there's been times I've seen kids send out emails, or possibly parents, when I can tell parents sent it out in general, judging by the wording. And it might not even have my email too, which means I know that you're sending it out to 500 coaches, and I can tell when it's generic, and I can tell because other coaches talk about it. I think doing a personal email is best. I think having a highlight tape is the most crucial thing, because I just said that before, that if you don't have a highlight tape, it's really hard to just stay focused with it when there's 200, 300 other emails of other people I'm trying to learn about. Last 2 things. One, and the first one is social media. We actually had a kid we were going to bring in about 2 years ago until we saw his Twitter, and then we did not bring him in because his Twitter had alcohol and cursing out women and doing a bunch of different things that we had no clue about. But on the phone, he was the most polite person ever, of course. So that did not work out. I know that some of you might have, I know there's Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, I know there's everything. And you might be private on some things, but just because you're private doesn't mean there's a chance we don't find out. The one kid was private, and I knew someone that followed him. So I found out everything I needed to know from him having drinks in his hand at the age of 16 and not really helping his cause. So just be smart on social media. I know it's fun. I know it's cool to do things here and there with your friends, but it might hurt your future to go to a college. And we are always looking to find anything to make sure that we're getting the right investment. Because if we bring in someone that's doing the wrong things, the school gets mad at us, and then it hurts our chances for the job. Last thing I have is camps. I think you'll get a lot of camp. We get camp emails here and there. Camps are a smart way for coaches to see you, whether it's our camp, whether it's other camps. Whether you're younger or even a senior, like I know with us, we have one in April now for seniors that are still looking. So it gives them a chance at the end for us to see them. It's just a one-night thing. And then there's other camps like we have in the summer, what a lot of schools do, Division I, where they have ID camps. It gives you like a weekend or a week where we can kind of analyze you more while you get the experience of how it is at our school, which a lot of schools do. So look into that idea if it's financially worth it for people, whether it's us, whether it's other schools. It's a great opportunity, and I'll tell you that there's been a chance before where I learned about a kid just from GW saying, hey, this kid went to our camp, we can't take him anymore because our spots are full for that position. Why don't you look at him? So that would be the same way for us. Hey, this kid might not work out. There might be in another Division I school. Or hey, we have a relationship with him where this kid's grades is not good. He's very good. Why doesn't he go to you for 2 years, play well, and then come back to us if it works out? We always have that option with him. I've played soccer with him since I was 13, so I trust his opinion, and that's another route to always go. But camps are big, and that's always something to at least look into if it's financially worth it for depending on how much it is. That's all I have. So if you have any questions, feel free to go at it.
Can you just speak, because we have a lot of 16, 17-year-olds in the room about, they're at that age now. Can you speak a little bit about what they should be doing nutrition-wise? They laugh.
I know.
But also, the other thing is like, it's the age where, their friends are going out and doing, maybe partying, doing the drinking. You could just kind of,
Yeah, I would say, and it's one thing I kind of regret when I grew up, is not taking it as serious, because I think now when you become 16 and 17, things start happening as your body continues to develop. Most of you probably hit your growth spurt now, but now your body's going to start filling out. Nutrition really is important, and I wish that was seriously one thing. And it's fun, they're laughing because I was one person that was not really great with that. But I wish that I was, because I could look back and think, what if I did that right? Would have been better. I went to the pro level, and it's a funny story. I ate like a couple cookies the first day before my pro game, and our coach got pissed at me. And everyone around me, that level, that is still playing today that I know, was eating salads, doing everything right. Doesn't mean they don't have a day where they indulge, but they took it more seriously. So I think at this age, you can get away with it. I did get away with it at that age, but it doesn't mean it's a smart way to look at it. I think if you can set good habits now, it might help you in the long run compared to now at 16, you could probably eat McDonald's, some of you can go play 5 minutes later and be completely fine. So I could do that, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing to do. So I just think that looking into starting good habits, so by the time you're 20, 21, your body isn't starting to break down from all the constant running and constant hard hitting in Division I or any college level in general. And then if you get the chance to continue to play, your body is as good as it possibly can be. And the only other thing I will say is flexibility. I think that a lot of guys your age, when you guys do stretches in the beginning, probably stretch for 5 minutes quick and you just want to go play because you don't really need to stretch as well. But as you continue to grow, if you're not stretching at a young age, it's going to add up, including once you get to college. And your flexibility is an important thing that you can work on now, that by the time you're that age, you're more flexible, you're better with it, you're better with your body to use it, and it's going to help you out in the long run. So nutrition really is important, and that's why I joke. It is one thing the biggest regret I ever had in my career was that, and flexibility, because as you continue to grow, there's things you'll get away with right now, but as you continue to grow, if you want to be as successful as you can be, those two things are very important to focus on.
Got a question with the, each year, let's say you pick the best player in Maryland, you give them a full scholarship. That scholarship's only good for that year, correct?
No,
Or is it
so
for 4?
scholarship is for 4 years.
4 years, okay.
And you cannot lose your scholarship based off of performance. Now you might hear stories of that happening at some colleges, but technically speaking, you cannot lose it off performance. If you get hurt, it will not be taken away from you. You're fine. It can only be taken away if you're ineligible with grades, off the field issues, you show up late to stuff, and basically if it's stuff that you can control like that. If it's performance, I mean, there's technically kids that can be on full ride, not play well for 4 years, and get to keep it, technically speaking, which isn't always the best thing for the coaches. But yeah, so once you get a scholarship, there are scholarships that are labeled. I'll give an example. There's been a kid that got 20, 40, 60, 80. So you got 20% scholarship, 40%, 60, and 80. So it goes up every year, but it's labeled like that. But if you just get 40% scholarship, then it's 40% for each year. And if you, just throw it out there because some kids on our team are learning, if you redshirt and you have a 5th year, you're not guaranteed that 5th year of money. So let's say you redshirt your freshman year because you got hurt and you're on a 20% scholarship. By your 5th year, we do not technically have to renew that because we gave you a 4-year scholarship, not assuming that you'd be there for 5 years. So it's just something to know as you're, if you ever get to that point, which has happened to people.
Does anyone know what redshirting means? Or can you explain what
Redshirting is,
explain that up?
so redshirting is basically, it can be for different reasons. One is just not playing in general. Sometimes freshmen come in and they're not ready yet, and they're not as strong or as fast, or just in general, you already have 3 guys in front of them that are older that are going to play more. So you redshirt them, you give them an extra year of eligibility, so they won't play this year, but they'll have 4 more years after that. You'll see it a lot in college football, where a lot of guys are redshirt freshmen, sophomores, or quarterbacks, and so keepers is probably the biggest one for redshirts. You both actually redshirt, right? You didn't redshirt. Phil actually is one that redshirted for 1 year, and another way to redshirt is medical. So there are times in certain cases where the NCAA has to look at in each case where someone can get hurt during the year where they're out for the year, and if they haven't played enough games, if you play like half the season or more, you're not going to get it. But if you played about maybe 2 or 3 games, like by August, September, and really early in the year, then they'll look into it. So medical redshirt is possible. So usually you only get 5 years redshirt. There's once in a blue moon that you can have 6 years if you get a normal redshirt and a medical redshirt, which barely happens, but has happened before. So those are the 2 ways to redshirt. Just one, you're not playing the whole year, so you get an extra year. And that only gets to happen 1 time. So you only get the redshirt 1 time for normal, and 1 time possibly medical, depending on the situation.
And you know that red shirt's going in, like, you're told by the coach in July.
Every
or
school is
whatever.
different, I'll say that. I know some schools will literally tell them the first week of preseason, hey, we're going to redshirt you this year. I know with ours, we kind of early on, the first couple games we'll play 21, 22 guys, and we'll see how it goes. So probably more about like mid-September for us, when we're about 5, 6 games in. If you haven't played yet and you're younger, we'll assume that you're not going to. Goalie-wise, it's kind of a little more obvious because some schools split goalies. For us, it normally is just 1 goalie plays the whole season. That's how we would like it. Once in a while, it doesn't work like that, but we try to play 1 goalie the whole year. So maybe the backup's going to not redshirt, and maybe the freshman 3rd string can redshirt if he chooses to. So we don't usually for us by like mid-September, like 4 or 5 games in, we'll know. But we don't like to do it early on because there's a chance that we might need the guy. I mean, 2 guys get hurt right back, and we're going to redshirt right the 3rd string right back. We're going to need him to play. So we try to wait a little bit and just kind of see how it goes.
Do you guys have a lot of walk-ons?
Depends which year. I think in recent years we've had a couple that come on late. We've actually had some guys, including when we played. His freshman year at school, he just played around with played basketball at our gym and just kind of was a normal student, but played soccer. Walked on his sophomore year, and he was starting on the Final Four team his senior year. So normally, if you're not in school yet, not at UMBC, there's still chances to walk on. If you go to UMBC, we don't usually do tryouts in the fall because by the time the fall actually starts, we have about 25 to 30, which we're good with. There's kids at UMBC that will probably try out next month in the spring to be able to train the rest of the spring, and if we like them, we'll keep them, which we've done the last 2 springs. Have had people stay on the roster, stay on the team. But yeah, it just kind of depends on who you are. I mean, we have 20, we try to keep around 25, 27, because once you get more than that, there's a lot of unhappy kids that don't travel. But if you're the player that fits our bill of he's a good player, he's a good person, and he's a smart student, then you're more than likely have a better chance of being added, especially being a local guy compared to guys that we don't know about in other states. So it's always still open for us. I would say we would never cross that 29 mark. We're probably around right now 25 for coming counting the people already coming in the fall, but we'll probably still add another 2 or 3. That could be international or that could be walk-on. So that's still always open.
As a Division I school, what kind of GPA are you really looking for? I mean, I'm sure you're not looking for a 3.0.
For our current students or for high schoolers coming in?
For the high schoolers coming in.
So obviously in the 3.0 range has to be, if it's 2 point whatever, it's really not going to help your chances. UMBC's been a really academic school and continues to be. Our president was actually on their Time Magazine's top 100 most influential people. We always tell that with Messi, Ronaldo, and he was right there, so it's kind of funny to see that. But he's really pushed the academics every year, so the degrees got a lot better. So the academics, I would always say the best thing would at least have like a 3.2, 3.3 and higher. It makes it like consistent. It also judges on your high school. There's some high schools where you can have a 3.0 and the other high school you have a 4.0, and we know that high school might be a little harder in general. But the SAT is probably the biggest one, I would say, because like I said, you can have a 4.0 at this school that's not that hard. You can have a 3.0 at this school that's a lot harder. But if we see your SATs a lot higher, we know that, and it shows that. Because the SAT is the same for every kid. So the SAT is the biggest thing. Some kids do take the ACT. We do accept that. It's just not as normal, in all honesty. But I would say that 3.2 and up range, you're good with a good SAT. Anything like 3.5 and higher, you're really helping yourself out when it comes to academic money. But mostly, you're only going to really get academic money if you have the SAT with it. For our school and for most schools, it won't just work just off GPA because of the reason I said some schools are some high schools are easier than others, and it's just not fair in general.
What's the most accepted GPA score range?
Most accepted?
Yeah.
It just varies. I mean obviously the higher, obviously the higher the better. Yeah, like I said, I think the SAT, I think the GPA is very important, and it has to be up there. But the SAT really is like the separator from everything, because you can have a 3.5, 3.6 GPA if you're SAT, and we just to let you guys know, we look off 2-part. So when you send your SAT scores to a coach, try to send don't send the writing part, because what's happened is we look at just the 2-part. So you could don't do it, but you can technically get a 0 on the writing part, and we're not even looking at that. We're looking at the math and the reading part combined, because we've had kids say, oh, I have a 1400 SAT, maybe that's great, and then they say, and then at the end they go, oh, it's a 3-part, and we're going, well, it's not how this works. You can't combine. So those 2 parts are the big parts. So when you send it to a school and you put, I have this on my SAT, put how many parts it is. So put your 2-part and separate that. That's really, really big, because sometimes we'll get excited about a guy having a good SAT, and then we see it's a 3-part, and you got an extra 500 points for your writing, which doesn't really matter for our school, and most Division I schools that he's talking about.
And then for sending a video for your college recruitment, could you send a huddle link? Because I know
that's one way. Yeah, I mean, I would say, which I'll get into, is for recruiting sites, I think that that's a good one that has the video that helps out. I would say that as long as it's something, it's got to be something, at least for me personally, it's got to be something longer than 3 minutes. We have some kids send highlight tapes and it's 2 minutes, and they'll score the same goal and probably show it again to me 3 times that you did in the top corner, and that's great, but I can't really bring you in because you did that one time. So at least something, normally 3 to 7, 8 minutes good. Some kids try to send highlight tapes of 20 minutes, and in all honesty, I don't have 20 minutes to watch one tape. It's way too much, and you're going to lose interest. So I think around that, in all honesty, that 5 to 8, 9 minute range will work out. I like Huddle because it puts your height, puts your weight, puts your year. So it's good to label that on there, put your number, and also just throw it out there, and they probably go through it too. Please find a video service if you're going to do it that highlights who you are, because you just put your white number 8, and some of these films are from this far back. I can't tell who that is, and I'll email the kid not knowing. They'll say I'm the one that scored. I can't tell if that's you. So we would like to at least know that we're watching the right person, because there are people out there that try to act like they're other people. But please try to have, whether it's the arrow, whether it's a circle before the play, try to have that so we at least know what we're looking at on the film at all times. But yeah, those kind of video services work. Just try to have at least a highlight video. If you have game footage, that always works, because I would probably take more time personally watching an actual game than watching 15 to 20 minutes of highlights, because I'll see mistakes as well, and highlights you're never going to mess up. And part of me likes knowing that every player in here, whether you're done or not, has messed up. So I like to see both sides of it. But yeah, those kind of services work. Yeah, I think personally around 5 to 8, 9 minutes works for a video that should show me enough to at least either be interested or not.
Piggyback on that real quick, the music. I don't, like, music's good because at least you're hearing something, but make sure we're not cussing every 3 seconds or it's some like hardcore, like, make sure it's something normal, maybe a motivational one or something, but watch the music.
Yeah, there's been times where it's been the worst songs. And then they keep, and just a side note, please don't pick the same song repeated every minute, because that gets annoying too. But, any more questions?
I know we talked about the grades and all that stuff, but how does it work about listening practice? Can you ever get, oh, I didn't finish my homework, I can't make practice, oh, I have a family member birthday, oh, can you get this?
No, I mean, your schedule, you're coming to UMBC obviously to get your degree, but you were part, if you were with us, you were part of us with everything. So, as they know, if practice starts at 1, you're warming up by 12:30. You're there at 12:31, you're late. So being early is being on time for where we are. Unless it's a medical reason, a family, like a real family emergency, obviously someone passes or something, we understand all that. But if it's just, coach, like I have a test later and I'm gonna fail if I don't study today, then we're gonna go, you should have studied last night. So, unless it's a dire emergency or you're sick and you can't come, which even then we have our own trainers and staff that should know that and tell us before. And there's really no excuse to even be late for anything, let alone miss. Once you're part of our team, you're part of our culture, like we said, part of our family, you're going to be there with everything, and that should include being there early, not just on time.
The big thing is communication with coaches. Like, I mean, we're all super, like, involved and pretty relatable. We're not, 65, 75. Like, we're all, like, around your guys' age. We're very active. We want to help you guys. So communication's huge. I know y'all are on your phones 24/7. I'm on my phone all the time. So just a simple text message that, hey, coach, I'm going to be, for us, I know it's different. Us guys at our level at work and stuff like that off the field. Hey, coach, I'm running 5 minutes late. Hey, coach. But the worst thing of all time is you're trying to run a session, you have everything sorted out, and then 5 guys aren't there and you have no reason why. And then 5 minutes later they come walking down the hill and you're like, where have you been? And then your whole session's messed up. So communication's huge and it's so simple. A text, a call, 2 seconds and it's done.
Yeah, I'll go with all of that. Obviously the difference between us mostly is housing. So our guys are on campus 99% of them 24/7. So there's really no excuse to be late. But there are times where maybe you're getting treatment and you had to wait, or you had to talk to your teacher after class and you might be 5 minutes running past when we warm up. Usually if you're later than practice starting, then there's usually a problem. But the worst part is that they come down and they join the warm-up and we go, where have you been? We go, oh, I was talking to my teacher. Why couldn't you just tell us that so we know that early on? It's more sketchy if you don't say anything. Even if you know you're right, you're not helping yourself out, especially with us. Now all practice we're going to wonder, why did you show up late? And if it happens more than once, which it easily could, then those keep adding up and that's not going to help your case with us. So just communication, a simple text, we're going to answer, and that's about it with that. Any more questions?
Real quick, and I apologize if you already answered, for the SAT for the 2 parts, what's kind of the minimum that you're looking for? I mean, obviously you want as high as possible, but what's a minimum and what's kind of an ideal?
I think for the school, and I know the SAT is now changing. I think there's a new format now, so I'm kind of getting used to it more. But a 1050 for 2-part has usually been, on the old SAT, that might be 11 now for 2-part. But it's around that 1050 to 11 range is good. 1,000 to 1,050, you're really like cutting it close. And anything under 1,000 for 2-part, it's 95% impossible, in all honesty, unless you got to go off GPA. And then by the time you got to do all that extra work for someone, it's it's a lot easier, in all honesty, to bring in a kid that could be just as good, that we don't have to worry about as much. But I think and then for academic money, it depends on each player, so I can't tell you like a number that you can go home to and say, well, if you get this, you'll get this much money. But usually around that 1150 to 12 range, you have a chance of starting to get academic money. I know other schools might be more lenient with that, but that's how our school is. Once you get around that area, then you have a very high chance of getting something. And then obviously the higher you go, the more money you can possibly get. But I would say that 1050 to 11 range for a two-part is the sweet spot, probably for at least being fine.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Anything else? Slaves? You guys have any questions?
Would you rather look at league GPA or
Basically what happens is, obviously they're not going to be too far off from each other. Especially, normally the only ones that are really far off are the 4.0s, the 5.0s, which will completely work with that. but usually the weighted and unweighted is not completely different. So normally when you send grades, you just send them in with both of them. And what we do usually to make sure that you're at least good, if we're obviously interested, if we're getting the process rolling, is we give it to an advisor at our school. We have a lot of people that work with us, and they'll tell us, can you get in? Can you get academic money? They'll tell us a profile of absolutely everything. So I would say, in all honesty, I've looked at both, and it doesn't, because normally, like I said, they're kind of in the same range. Normally, I might only help someone if they have like a 2.9 and maybe like a 3.2, 3.3, but the school just kind of looks at it combined in reality and just kind of look at both and goes with whatever. Any other questions that I think?
Before you go, I just want to recap real fast. What kind of say to these guys? Coach T, do you want to speak about service?
Oh, yeah. Just real quick, one thing I will say, I mean, the reason I joined Next Level, I mean, Rafiq and these guys, I've watched them. Look, they're real. They're talking to you as if they were playing, and you're a player from the academy coming up, and let's say it's a professional team. You know, I have a son myself. He's a 98. He's done all that, Celtic national champion, all of the crap. You know, and he's over in Central Europe now. You guys need to use the resource. It doesn't matter what you know; it matters who you know. That's a big thing. They're real. They're going to help you, and you need to make sure you use them. Some of you guys are trying to reinvent the wheel, and that's crazy because you have professional players. I played professional in South America. If you don't use us, we can do stuff that you can't. We can go to a college coach and talk to him on your behalf. I don't care if you're 13 years old. I mean, you know, I worked with Quintrell. He just signed with UMBC, letter of intent. But I worked with him when he was 13 years old, and it was horrible. I mean, there was a lot we had to work on. But so don't use these guys. You know, if you're not where you need to be now, well, that can change, and they'll help you. They will make the system work in your favor. So use them. If you don't know how to do a video, they'll do a video. If you don't know how to talk, shut up and let them. You know, just say hi. They'll do the rest. You know, just the odds are more in your favor now for whatever level you want to go. You know, let's say you become a senior in college and you get good enough where you can play pro. Look at all these folks that you have now that can help you, and you'd be crazy not to. I just want to tell you that because that's just me, being a parent, playing with, watching these guys. I mean, just you're very fortunate to have that. It's not common. It's very rare. So just they're giving you the inside baseball, you know, and they didn't pay me to say it, you know. I mean, but just, you know, I mean, I watched him play. I mean, I watched these guys. You're very fortunate to be in that position. Take advantage of it. You know, for the service colleges, what you can do is, you know, Naval Academy, Merchant and Marine, West Point, all the different ones. The easiest way to do it is get your congressman, hopefully a senator. Midterms and whatnot are coming up, so they're under a little pressure. If they sign that, a Coast Guard, all different service academies, if they sign that recommendation for you, you're pretty much in. You need a 3.5. Are you going to road march all the time? You're going to go to class, but they brought you into play. When I played in the all-Marine team,
we played. They're like, shoot a rifle, we need you, I can shoot a rifle, but they're like, we need you to play. That's what we brought you in for. We'll get another guy to charge the hill, and you know, if it's that bad of a war, we'll all be up there anyways, don't matter. But, you know, play. So if you're looking at that, that's something you can get, but you know what, maybe if you were accepted to West Point and you wanted to go to UMBC, that kind of vouches for you, so maybe that helps him make a better decision for you. Okay, so just you can use that. That's just the down and dirty of it, just to help you out, just so you have options. We just want to see you succeed in whatever you decide to do. Okay.
Hey, just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Jordan. This is more for Pete. What kind of level of teams do you look at? Like, do you go to Dallas for the National League? Do you go, like, what are you as UMBC? Because I know you're local, and you've got your roster for the last couple of years is all over the place. Do you, like, say here, you know, I like this person who played at this academy, or that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'll first start off by saying that because I think a lot of questions are also like, do we just go recruit the Academy League and like every club team just kind of like whatever, and that's not the case. We know kids that are playing in club that are better than kids playing academy. It's a system. It doesn't mean the academy kids aren't obviously very good. They are, but that doesn't mean they have all. I mean, Baltimore, since before I was born, has been very prominent, or Maryland in general has been very prominent with the players they've had. So an academy team with just 23 players is not going to have all 23 players from the state of Maryland that are good. We're blessed to have a really good state here. I would just say from a recruiting perspective, obviously, I would say the top teams that are clubs in the area, and that includes the DMV area. We do look at Northern Virginia as well. We do look at the New Jersey area. We do look at kind of around. But obviously, the easier thing is we have a hotbed of talent in Maryland. Why do we need to go so far? So a lot of the times we just recruit more in-state. There are international kids that can make a difference for us, and we will bring them in. But if you look at our roster, I mean, when we made the Final Four, we had about 9 kids start from Maryland in the Final Four, and the other kid was like one foreigner possibly. So I know my senior year, we had 16 wins, and we had 10 Marylanders and 1 New York kid. So I mean, we try to, if it could work out like that, which we are trying to, and that's what we go for. But there will be, basically, for us, mostly this area plus some international kids. You'll rarely see a kid, maybe one here and there. Like we have one kid from Georgia. When we were there, we have one kid from Texas. Like you rarely see that. But we'll travel. We'll go to probably 1 or 2 international trips. Me and Anthony, just to recruit. We'll have an idea kind of what we're looking for. We'll still go to Disney here and there, and sometimes honestly to see the Baltimore kids, we gotta get made fun of for that. We go down to see people that are local play against other talent though, because sometimes you play against each other so much, it's just kind of like, all right, he knows what he's doing. But if you go play against a Florida team, we're like, all right, let's see how consistent you are with something else. We always get made fun of for that, but it's just we try to stay up ahead of the local community. But yeah, I mean, if a player is that good from somewhere else, we're also trying to bring him in. But yeah, I mean. We'll go to Disney, we'll go to the Academy showcases, we'll go to some of the big tournaments, we'll go to the state cups, we'll do all that, and once in a while we'll go to like a Dallas or something, but not consistently, I would say.
So is it more, do you recruit more from the videos and stuff like that people send you, or is it from going out and looking on your own?
I would say for the most part, we get more of our kids from knowing. I'm from Baltimore. The other 2 coaches are from Baltimore. We know the area very well. They obviously have been coaching for a long time. I've played through it, so I know I've had connections with that too. So just knowing about it more and hearing, hey, this U14, like even now knowing, hey, this U14 team is really good. So in about another year, I'm going to start looking into it. I know it more. But there have been kids that have committed where we had no clue about them, even if they were really high outranked. And they were doing, like the one kid we got this year coming in is the Pennsylvania State Player of the Year. But last year, he was off the radar, and we got a video from him. And then we were just like, wow, this kid let's learn more. He kept improving, and before you know it, everyone's wondering why we got a high school American from Pennsylvania. Well, we got a video, we did our research, we found connections, we talked to his coaches, we talked to everything we had to find. We watched 3 different times, went to Pennsylvania. And then he kept growing and doing better. Before you know it, he became that, and everyone's wondering how they didn't know it. So it's been both ways. But I would say for the most part, we, because even the walk-ons that try to come on, we normally know for the most part. Because we also want to know how they are as people. And we've had guys that have been really good players that have came in that are not the best people, and they can ruin the whole chemistry. And if they ruin the chemistry, it doesn't really matter how talented you are, you're not going to go far. So we try to know them as people more. But there are times where when we find out more, we feel comfortable with it, and we see that we will go starting from video and working our way up.
Also, I want to add something on this. Like, for example, going to the camp and then letting us know, and us talking to the coaches. I think that's been like really valuable, especially in our case. We know 3 of the coaches, so it's super easy to be like, hey, look at the X and Y, and let me know what you think. And trust me, that night probably will call us and let us know. So that's another way to do it, but you gotta let us know as well. So again, just please let us know.
Yeah, I know for our school, you're in a great position because I basically know about 70 of the coaches here. And some I see, I mean, I still hang out with consistently. So if you're coming to camp in April for a night and you tell him, hey, let him know, he'll tell me what he thinks, and I'll know you more. There's gonna be kids that go to our camps that I have no idea who they are. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna give them a fair assessment, but if I hear someone's name before going into it, I'm obviously gonna pay more attention to it because I'm gonna report back to him, who I'm close with and I trust and know. I'm not gonna go, hey, Rafiq, I didn't really even look at him. It's not how it is. I'd be like, hey, this is what you told me about him, this is what I think about him. Compared to some kids that I might not know, I might not get, I mean, it's an advantage for you in any sense, whether it's trying to get recruited by us, whether it's go to camp, whether it's anything. I think you should really use the resources. Don't be shy to not say anything because you're going to regret it when you're 18 and you went, wow, I just asked more questions. I could have possibly had a chance to go there. Doesn't mean it'll always work out, but at least you won't have any regret.
And I just want to point out, that's not just for this one school.
Yeah.
I think I had a conversation with a parent not too long ago, but the soccer network, it's pretty tight. So his friends are college coaches that he might be competing against. And we all know a lot of different coaches, but they talk to each other. So when he says like, our main form of recruiting is just knowing, it's just players that you hear about through this network. It's a big network of coaches and former players and people who are connected with these programs. I mean, that's really the main way, at the Division I level, I'm speaking on the Division I level now, that players get recruited. They hear through this network about players, and they check them out. And obviously, we wanted to have a Division III coach here tonight, but we actually have 2 set up that are going to come to a training session for the 2002-01 2000s within the next month. So they can give you a little bit of different information that might differ from the Division I level. And I think that would be helpful for our guys because, in all truth, all of our players are not Division I players, and a lot of our players will be Division III, Division II type of players, and that's great. But we want to just kind of give you guys as much information as possible. But definitely use us as resources, like these guys are saying. Any more questions? All right, so I'll just leave us with this. When you're looking at your options, all right, you're thinking about school size. Do you want to go to a big school, a small school, a city school, or out in the country somewhere? All right, so those are the things you should be thinking about and putting those options together. Where are these schools, in-state, far away, things like that. I do want to point out that playing out of state and even on the West Coast is going to be more challenging, especially at a Division I level. Because just like we have our network here on the East Coast in Maryland, Virginia, and DC, they have their own network out in California. And they don't know who you are. And sometimes they don't care because they have so many players already out there. So that doesn't mean if you really want to go to California, try. But you know, be a bit realistic. You know, if UCLA has all youth national team players in their roster, maybe look at a different school at this point. So be realistic, and then talk to us. You know? Question?
So, generally speaking, being totally naive to the whole process, we put out our feelers, send out emails to all the coaches we would like to attend their schools. When do the coaches start coming back with their, yes, we want you kind of things? And when is the in line where that's the last time you can actually say yes, time-wise? Is it the beginning of their senior year?
You can send out emails, it depends on what age. You might get an email back that night, or you might never get an email back again. And as sad as it is, that's the broad range of college recruiting, because some coaches I know reply to every email. That doesn't mean that some will reply back and say, we're not interested, sorry. Some don't want to do that, so don't reply at all. But some will reply right away, some will wait till your junior year. There really is a broad range depending on the type of coach and the type of interest. Yeah, like I said, sometimes it might not be, like I have friends that are coaches down south, and maybe we don't need that player, and I know he does, and we're not competing against them, so we're not competing against them. I might say, hey, why don't you look at this? We've had that happen before. So it just kind of depends, in all honesty, on the interest and the type of coach in general.
So actually, my point was more to, you're a decent player out there.
Mm-hmm.
You put out your feelers, let's say you get three teams that want you.
Yeah.
Is there a time that you got to jump? I mean, like you said, May.
Is there a time yet?
You have to commit.
When do you have to
Depends on
commit?
them.
Yeah.
Deadline to answer.
Oh, deadline to answer?
You won't wait for,
Because you're not gonna wait.
let's say it's a player you guys wanted, and they're talking to like 2 other schools.
Well, usually, signing period is in February of their senior year. So if we're trying to get somebody, we're trying to get them before February if we can. Obviously, there's times where you find a player late or someone signs late. But if you're trying to work on, most recruits you're trying to work on to get them to sign before February of their senior year. But there's verbal commitments, and we're working on verbal commitments now for the junior class. So we're trying to get some of them this week if we could. But yeah, I mean, if you're the player and we're looking at it, we're not usually waiting. We're working on it now, at least to get a verbal commit, which technically means nothing but just your word. There's some kids that's this, and some kids will verbal commit 3 times, which isn't the greatest thing. But a verbal commitment is normally a good thing, but it doesn't really mean anything to you sign. But we're trying to get verbal commitments for the players we want as soon as now, at least for juniors, and trying to get them to sign by February of their senior year.
With community college, it's a bit different too. You can sign, say somebody wants to sign with us at CCBC, and then 2 months later, UMBC comes around and says, hey, we'll give you a full ride. You signing with us has nothing to do with NCAA, so we're not here to kill anybody, and we say, yep, you can go ahead and sign with UMBC, and there's no paperwork involved, no nothing, it's because it's 2 different entities. In the same light, if I have 3 guys that I'm talking to, and they're kind of stalling on me, and they're saying, well, I'm shopping around, going other places. With us, it's a bit different, and I can say, okay, that's fine. Take 2, 3 weeks, a month, whatever you got to take. But we can't guarantee you that your money's still going to be there, because we're going to obviously have to go and shop around as well, because we need those players. So then it just comes down to that, like, someone's going to have to pull a trigger at some point.
And also, what I'd like to add with that is just remember, you've got a century worth of experience here. If you want an answer, tell Rafiq, we'll get you an answer. Why would you even want to wait for what they're going to say? Copy them in the email, and you'll find out. They'll find out. They'll look, hey, you need to move on. Or, yeah, we got something here. So that's what I'm just saying, leverage us.
So coaches will tell, like, if they need somebody next week. And if when we talk to them, we'll be like, hey, we need an ASAP, get your players to sign in, otherwise you might miss out. So I think that's why we bring them up. And they won't tell the players, but they usually tell us.
Right.
So they tell the players, okay, you don't want to sign in, fine. I'm gonna keep looking. You may lose your spot without telling.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then, PD's representing one Division I school. There's a lot of we're going to send out a full list of the schools following this meeting so that you guys can kind of look at all of them and have an idea of what's around, what's out there. But the academic standards for different schools are different. All right, so he's telling you UMBC is an honored university, but not all Division I schools are. So some might be a little bit easier to get into, academic-wise, than others. And then, so this is something that you need to think about when you're weighing your options, and you're trying to think about where to pursue. Tuition is another one. All right, so some schools are $60,000 a year, some are 10. It's a big difference. Okay, and then obviously what's available, what type of academic money is available, what type of athletic money is available. Division I and Division II, I would say there's a lot of international players. So you as American youth players, you're not just competing with that kid that was on SAC today. You're competing with some random kid in England and in Russia and in all over the world, really. So also something to think about, all right? Especially when it comes to how committed you are to soccer. How committed you are to your body and your health and your fitness level, right? You're not just competing with your high school. A lot of, I don't hear from parents all the time, my kid can go wherever and play in college, or he wants to go here, here, there because he was good in high school. He's the best player in his high school team. He's the best player in the league. It's different competition. Okay. Anything else? All right, I just want to thank PD for coming out. I guess we'll leave it at that. We're going to follow up with a couple things. Also, the eligibility rules I'll send out through the email as well, so you can just look at those, the academic eligibility rules. All right?
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, guys.